case, this is a single case presentation, but it kind of summarizes most of what you've heard through the entire morning. That's comprising of fracture of the acetabulum, fracture of the neck of femur, how to deal with it, whether you need to do both things at the same setting, followed by a total hip replacement as a one-stage procedure, as a two-stage procedure. If at all a two-stage procedure, how long to wait, the choice of implants, the choice of the approach. So this is a kind of a consideration that the young surgeons and those surgeons who have not yet encountered these kind of conditions would need to know these things, would need to be sensitized to these things, because these are surgical dilemmas and there is no clear-cut route or there is no clear-cut path that has been carved out for them. So my patient was a 65-year-old male who sustained a fracture, road traffic accident, and had a fracture of the acetabulum with a fracture of the neck of femur. Now in this case, this fracture acetabulum and the fracture neck of the femur was something which you don't get to see only in your day-to-day practice. It's one of the most complex kind of fracture geometries that one gets to see. There is a fracture of the neck of femur and the entire head of femur is lying in the pelvic cavity. So this, of course with the protrusion. So now this is the challenge that would give anyone a nightmare as to how to cope, how to deal with it. Now the questions that will come to anyone's mind is, so here we are dealing with unstable hemipelvis, a neck femur fracture with a protrusion and a fracture of the ilium all on the same side. So now the dilemmas in front of us would be whether we go in for a stage procedure or whether we go in for a single setting. As such, you've heard so many talks, and there is nothing which is very clear-cut path which has been carved out whether it should be taken as a single procedure or as a stage procedure. It all depends. Firstly, it all depends on what's your level of experience. Thereafter, it also equally importantly, it matters that what's the patient's stability level at that point of time. How safe is it to take on these two demanding surgeries in the same setting? Considerations about the other comorbidities of the patient, considerations about the kind of anesthesia which your anesthetist wants to give for such a patient, and most importantly is what is your level of expertise. Which route to the hip are you most comfortable with? In this case, there is no questions asked. It has to be a posterior approach. But even in the posterior approach, you need to know what is the armamentarium that you need to have at your hand. What are the implants that you need to have? What is the kind of fixation that you will go in? And in my mind, my first dilemma was how to deliver the head out. Whether to go in as a single stage procedure and try to deliver the head out through the floor of the acetabulum, whether I'll be successful in doing that. And in case, whether I would encounter any vessels and whether something will lead to a vascular injury, whether I'll be more comfortable doing a Stoppa's approach and delivering the head out. If I do a Stoppa's approach, should I turn the patient on the lateral side and in the very same setting go and fix the acetabulum? Will the acetabulum actually be fixable at that point of time, and how to have the plethora of inventory available to us? So these are the kind of dilemmas that I was faced with. This is a kind of a dilemma which any orthopedic surgeon will be faced with. At foremost, what I would recommend to each and every one of you is you have to be a very good trauma surgeon, you have to be a good fracture fixation surgeon, and you should be very conversant with the hip. Till such time you are not as conversant with approaches to the hip, you'd rather have any help available, help of a senior.
Sir, please restrict to the case presentation without giving much details.
So the dilemma was how to remove the head, how to fix the acetabulum, what approach to take, how long to take before in this window period of fixation of the acetabulum to a total hip replacement, and what would be the hip replacement. So we decided to go in for a stage procedure. The plan was to fix the acetabulum and thereafter go ahead with a total hip replacement. Removal of the head, as I told you, was a surgical dilemma in my mind. So we used the Stoppa's approach, the modified Stoppa's approach, and delivered the head out. Fortunately, the head was lying right in the pelvic cavity, and I was able to deliver it without any complications. It turned out to be a surgery which wasn't so risky as I was expecting it to be. Now the next step is how to go about fix the acetabulum. So we closed the Stoppa, we put the patient on traction, and I went in after about 2 weeks. Once the patient was stabilized, we had all our preparations done. In this case, we fixed the iliac wing first using the recon plate. The anterior column and the quadrilateral plate was fixed using similar pre-contoured plates. At that point of time, I didn't have the quadrilateral plate, so I used a one-third tubular plate and I bent the 1/3 tubular plate over the quadrilateral plate. So this won't show, but if you see, there is a L-shaped plate which is sitting over the quadrilateral plate. So I was able to get some push back into the floor of the acetabulum. I fixed the walls in the column, and thereafter I went in for the total hip replacement. In this case, we identified the acetabulum. There was not a very major posterior wall defect. I had harvested the patient's head, so I used that head as a mossealized graft and did an impaction grafting. As Dr. Arora had mentioned that ideally you should do a peripheral reaming, and that's exactly what I did, because you can't afford to you can't take the risk of letting your reamer go very medialized or go into the floor of the acetabulum. I used that only for impacting the bone graft, but otherwise did a peripheral reaming. I used a Burr-Schneider cage size 50, and which was well fixed with 6.5 screws. Used a ZCA cemented cup. The bone graft was placed on the floor, and that's how the cup looked like. The canal was prepared in the usual manner, and this is what the post-operative picture looked like. So we fixed the iliac wing. You can see the 2 screws fixing the ASI osteotomy, the fixation of the columns, the Burr-Schneider ring, the cemented cup, and the stem. This is the patient's post-operative video at 6 months. That's his 1-year follow-up. Now, what does the literature say? Open reduction, internal fixation, and primary hip total replacement arthroplasty in selected acetabular fractures. In appropriately selected patients, ORIF and primary THA provides an acceptable treatment options. Primary total hip arthroplasty with a Burr-Schneider ring, primary total hip arthroplasty with a reinforcement ring and bone grafting of the socket seems to be a promising treatment alternative in displaced acetabular fractures in the elderly patients in osteoporotic bones. Management of complex acetabular fractures in the elderly.
I think, Dr. Ghai, we need to stop here. We have paucity of time.
So that's what the literature also supported. Thank you.
Thank you.